BJ from Game Gumbo. I've got my guest here, Grant Lyon, and we're talking spicy hot games. And one of those spicy hot games is a game designed by you, Grant Lyon.
Yeah,
Legend.
game.
25th Century Games. Tell us all about it. It's a party game, but it's a game about silly insults, dummy.
Yeah. The way I like to describe it is it's sort of like Mad Libs for ridiculous insults. Awesome. Thanks for. I'm glad you got a copy there. Thanks for checking it out. Yeah, I mean it's like Mad Libs for silly insults, and the focus really is on like the ridiculous, not on the like mean. Yep, you got a mic you can throw down or pass. That's the player indicator is a microphone. So the way the game works is everybody will have life cards out in front of them, and those will be like aspects of somebody's life. You know, it might be like teeth, it might be like a dog, it might be earlobes. There you go. Spaghetti, elephant, hamster, neighbor. You know, some of them are like normal and some of them are ridiculous. And then what you do is in your hand, you have insult word cards, and there are like a word or two words on them, and it is up to you to sort of throw the words together into like a crazy, silly insult, you know? So like, you know, literally I played this online the other day. It's up on Tabletop Simulator too.
Okay.
And somebody, you know, this is one of those games that you walk away with those memorable moments too. Somebody said they had the insult word card that said debt. That's all it said was debt. And they said, your spaghetti is in such debt, it's only allowed to call itself spa.
Hey, that's a good one.
I know. That's what I mean. It's like, it's dumb and silly and funny, right? And so, you know, it's about just the laughter and the moments and that sort of stuff. You know, the way that there is a point structure, it's like, if you notice, we tried to have like, there's
a game in here.
Yes, there is some structure and some format. And part of the reason there is some real like structure and format is because we wanted it to be open-ended enough that you can bring your own creativity and sense of humor into it, but it can't just be like free for all because it's too hard. It's like then there's not any structure or anything that allows you to sort of like grab onto something. And so hopefully there's like a framework here, but you have a lot of creative license within that framework. You know, there are some party games, you know, I'm sure we all know, but some like mass market party games where it's like, I don't think those games are that fun because it's like, well, this card is pre-written. I have no agency over anything I'm doing. This is just boring.
I think I know the game you're talking about. Yeah. Totally. Not a fan.
It's just boring to me. Whereas like, so that was one of the things we wanted to do with this game was like, well, how do we give the creative license back to the players? Right? You're not just putting down a card. You are getting to decide the joke. You are getting to but there's enough framework there that, you know, I've yet to play this with anybody that can't do it. Right? We'll hear from some people, they'll go, oh boy, I'm not going to be able to make up insults. And it's like, yeah, but there's enough framework there that like you just throw stuff together and it ends up being funny and ridiculous. I mean, that's the thing. That's why I like to compare it to Mad Libs a bit, where it's like, you don't have to think up this epic, amazing insult. Sometimes the stuff that's like the craziest that barely makes sense is the funniest anyway. Right? Where you're like, that's just so ridiculous, it makes me laugh.
Some of the funniest jokes I remember in college made no sense at all. It was somebody had this stupid remark in the middle of something funny, and you remember it forever. And what you're saying is we're going to get those experiences if we play this game. Just these really dumb things that people put together.
Totally.
And I love the sound of this.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. And Evan said in the comments that can you get mean if you want to?
Ooh.
And totally you can because you know, if you see the insult cards that are on the screen, it's like we're giving you a few words. You get to fill in a lot around those words. And quite frankly, the game is sort of PG-13 as it is. Like there's some suggestive things in there, like this middle finger is for you. You know, there's a card that's like, you know, things like that, but it never gets, and And because it's really just this framework, this game ends up being as clean or as dirty as the people playing it, right?
I didn't take pictures of the ones that were a little
Yeah.
bit more. Now, none of them are
Totally.
totally blue,
That's
but
what I
some
mean.
of them are
Like,
kind of suggestive there, Grant.
totally. It's I think that's what I describe.
I've got people like Dave Duga with sensitive ears. I want to make sure that I protect
Yeah.
them. Okay.
Well, that's the thing. It's like we tried to make it like PG-13. Like you know, you could, if you wanted to play it with your 12-year-old, you could go through the game, take out 20 cards, and then you'd be fine playing it with your 12-year-old. But I've also played it with people in a bar at midnight where it's like the filthiest thing you've ever played. And it's like, hey, I'm not part of this. You guys are doing all that on your own. Like you are adding all of that to the game, you know?
But it doesn't have to be that. You could literally play this with your
exactly.
aunts at Christmas, right?
Yes, I mean, and I've played this with people where I'm like, is this gonna, this is like a fairly like uptight, like religious type of, my mom is a uptight religious person. And I don't mean like uptight that I'm making fun of a religion. I mean, my mom is uptight.
right. Yeah.
So she's just a very straight-laced, very proper, like in my house, if I said pissed off, my mom would be like, don't swear in my house.
Ooh,
Like that
okay.
sort of like that.
Okay.
That's what I mean. And I played this game with my mom, being like, my mom was like, I want to try it. I want to, support you. And I'm like, Mom, this is not the game for you. And we played it, and I was surprised at how much she liked it.
Topher wants to know, any consideration for an After Dark expansion?
Yeah, totally. I mean, obviously the game lends itself to that. We could easily make an After Dark expansion, and we could also make a, even toned down version of real family version if we wanted to, where we're making it very silly and that sort of stuff.
Dean wants to know, can he settle the family dispute with this?
That the answer is emphatically yes, please. Please use the game for that reason. I would love that. Holiday time, you don't want to insult your family in real life? Bring this game. You have an excuse to insult them.
Uncle Ben always wants to watch the Detroit Lions, and we're not watching the Lions this year for Thanksgiving. We're gonna have a curmudgeon battle to decide who's gonna control the remote.
Totally. Yeah. And there's like, I co-designed this with another guy who comes from the world of designing games more than I did before this. And so we tried to have like, there are some like gamery elements to it, right? Like having a lame card. Every player gets a lame card. So if anybody, just does a real lazy insult and they're like, your spaghetti is in debt, and you can just go lame and throw it down, and then like try to, basically it's a way to like kind of steal their turn.
I had to use it today on Twitter, Grant.
Yeah, I know. It was great. I loved it. I love the use of it.
I got Dave Duga just johnning me there on Twitter, and I was like, lame. I was like, hey, I may carry this card around in my wallet.
Yeah. That's perfect. I would love that.
Somebody gives me some guff, like, nope, lame.
Yeah.
How did the card? Because I broke up in the game. Grant, it came at a bad time. I've got two people, so this is a game that I think is going to lend itself to maybe some root beer, maybe 5 or 6 people drinking some root beer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. No, it's great for that.
And so that's what I'm hoping for. But how does this work? So we've got the insults, we've got the life cards. Give them the elevator pitch how that part works, because there's a game in here, guys. It's not
totally
a party game. Yeah.
So if you see the life cards have a point value on them between 1 and 4. And you have to simply meet or exceed that value with your insult. So you see the combination of insult cards. So you can see they're between 1 and 4. So if I wanted to insult spaghetti, I could literally use any card because it's only a 1. If I wanted to use neighbor, I got to use either 2 2s or a 2 and a couple of 1s right here. So if I'm saying neighbor, I might say, if I'm looking at it, I'm like, your neighbor's wig is so bad they've made a MoMA, a Museum of Modern Art piece out of it.
So it's that simple, just combining the words together, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And both of those had 2 on it, so I've met the 4 requirement right there. And so you just have to meet or exceed the point value requirement.
But it doesn't stop there.
Yes. And then once you have insulted somebody, they can concede the card and let you win the life card, or they can start an epic retort battle. And by throwing down these, you'll notice the retort battles are sort of fill in the blank, finish the sentence sort of stuff. So, if I said your neighbor's wig is so bad they made a museum of modern art installation out of it, then you come back and you're like, yeah, well, your apartment is such a dump that you decorated it with those wigs. you know? Just something like that. And now it's just the Uno style, match the color or the symbol to clap back, right? So if I insulted BJ's neighbor with the wig card, BJ threw down a green bomb. Now all I have to throw down is a different green card or a different bomb card, and then we're sort of like one-upping each other. And those are some of the most fun moments of the game, right? Where like you're like, yeah, well, oh yeah, well, oh.
So we talked about Call to Adventure, a totally different game, but how sometimes we don't want to win. We want to put together these cards that make a story. I'm imagining times where I'm staring at two bomb cards and I'm going to play the one that's funnier.
Yeah,
even
totally.
if the other one might be an easier win. I want to play something stupid, right?
Yeah, for sure. And again, that's, there is like any party game, there is like a point structure, but you're not walking away remembering who won. So essentially, once a retort battle is finished, then whoever played the last retort card then gets that life card into their point pile, and then you play a bunch of rounds, and then whoever has the most point values on their life cards win the game.
Super simple.
Yeah, exactly.
So party game, is this one you think that comedians could play in the green room?
Oh, this was designed by comedians, so yes, for sure. Honestly, I feel very lucky because early play tests, I just have a lot of my friends are comedians, and they are creative, funny people that aren't afraid to tell you their opinions on stuff. So a lot of the early play tests were other comedians. And then, we made sure we were like, well, I don't want this to just be fun for comedians. So then, we started taking it to local game stores. We took it to Gen Con and play tested it in the unpublished room at Gen Con. We did a bunch of that sort of stuff. But comedians did help design it. So, it's a funny experience.
And it's geared for everybody.
Yeah, for sure. It's geared towards more adult, right? I don't think you want to play this with your kids, but, I'd say sort of like 15 and up for me is like where this game really where this game hits.
People might be wondering why I took this picture, and Grant, it's to give you guys some kudos. Look how many cards are in this box.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys did a lot of I turned it sideways to show you how thick it was. That's 3 piles of those, Verla.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm thinking, oh, it's a party game. Some of these party games, you open them up and they've got 50 cards, and you're like, oh, I just spent $25 on air.
Totally. Well,
Right.
This thing is packed to the gills, man. Look at this
I'm
thing.
excited for this. This looks
Yeah,
awesome.
It's actually heavy.
Yeah. I think it's 330 cards total.
Oh,
It
wow.
weighs about 30 pounds, Verla. About
Yeah.
30 pounds.
Well,
maybe-
I mean,
It's kind of expensive to ship.
It's not 30
Yeah.
pounds.
Well, I get annoyed, just like you said, BJ, where it's like I can play this game 4 times before I've seen every man, that's boring. And
Right.
it almost feels like, man, you're just like, you only made this to make expansions to get more money out of me. And I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to make a game like that. So I think, this game is super replayable. And it's also, because it's like just the structure, the framework, people are filling in so much around it. It's like nobody's going to say debt and spaghetti the same way, probably, right? It's like you're filling in, but hopefully it stays really replayable because there are a lot of cards in there, and you're not gonna see the same thing over and over.